Hello, all you lovely people out there. If you've been following me doing my tiny painting for your soul books, then you'll know that we're having an awful lot of fun and it's very popular. So I've decided let's take this, you know me, let's push the envelope and take it a step further. Let's make our own book. How great is that to be able to do the things we've learned and to be able to say you made the book as well. It's very rewarding, it's very fun, and it's very easy, and I'm here to show you how. I had a great big pad of watercolor paper that was 18 inches by 24 inches, so I'm going to use one full sheet to make this book. If you fold it in four, which I'm doing there, fold to the middle and then fold again, you get four sections, which ends up being 6 inches. And when I drew the lines from the other direction, I got 3 rows of 6 inches as well. So this will be a square book, 6 inches by 6 inch pages. It's so much fun. And I'm really happy to do this with watercolor paper because most little books that we've had fun in are mixed media paper, and they get all wobbly and bubble and warp when you add paint and water. So this gives us a head start for a more durable page. So as I do with any of my paintings that I start, a lot of times I like to do these mark making just to get into my zone. Is what I'm doing this time is, instead of having a book and doing this page by page, we're doing it as a pre-marked page in the beginning. There's 2 reasons why I like that. One, you cannot contrive anything. It is what it is, and later on we'll find surprising marks that we forgot all about. And number 2, it just gives a new inspiration, a new challenge. So to have pre-marked pages already with just pencil marks and black, that will make subtle and some darker. The whole idea is to give a start for some inspiration for each page instead of starting off with blank ones. So what I did was I sprayed some water on the page, and I'm using a Stabilo Woody, which is a water-soluble pencil crayon. It's full of intense pigment, and when you add water, because there's so much pigment in there, when you add water, it spreads and bleeds, which is a lot of fun. So I'm doing both sides. Spray water. What the marks you see there were just pencil and a very fine micron pen, which is permanent. And now I'm doing the water-soluble marks. And they're a lot bolder, and I'm kind of spreading them around the page, but I'm trying not to contrive anything and make them perfectly fit within each 6 by 6 inch square. I want this to be random, and then again I'm adding more spray so that it spreads and fans out. What happened was I did this a few times, and because I did this quickly to show you the demonstration, I didn't wait for each side to dry when I flipped the page. So some of those marks smeared, and I had to dab them with paper towel. So you'll notice later that some of the once it's dried, it was a lot more subtle, and that's okay. If I would have had time, I would have done this slower, but I had a lot of things on the go this week, and I had to speed it up. So it gives you an idea. And again, there are no rules. You can do it as dark or as light as you want. Again, I found that they got a little dark, so I dabbed a bit with paper towel and made it a lot softer. And once I was happy with what I did, I let it dry without the hairdryer. And to show you how I did, I lost part of that video, but this is the Stabilo Woody, and you can see how fun it is. It goes on very dense. And then I'm just showing you close up because I had already previously done this on that page below there. So I want to show you what happens when you add water. It activates it, makes the ink spread, the pigment spread. And that's a lot of fun, but I also want to demonstrate to you that this is not permanent. It's very smudgeable. So if you like that, that's great. And if not, you have to protect these areas that we've done with the black. And so I've got a bottle of Fixative here, and I'm going to spray it wherever I've got mostly that black Stabilo Woody marking, because that will set it. Because if I don't do that and later on I add wet water or wet matte medium, it will smear. So this is just a good way beforehand to protect all the pages. Now it's time to cut our rows. We've got 3 rows that I marked with a ruler. We're not going to cut all the way through. We're cutting up until the intersection of the last section. which will be coming up right there. Picture, if you will, trying to peel an apple, a complete apple with one peel, where you have to go around and around and around, and what you end up with is one long apple peel. That's kind of the effect of what we're doing right now. If we were to cut it through all the way and then try to join the pages, so we stop there, and this way we've got one long continuous strip, but you notice that there will be two spots where we fold when we're turning and folding. And on those two locations, we're going to end up with a double page that's kind of, it's changed direction, so it ends up being a great little pocket area. And I'm just, where I've got that fold there, I'm just making sure I've got a good, firm, folded edge there. You could use a paint scraper, you could use a business card, a credit card, a ruler, anything that's flat and firm to flatten those edges of the fold. So what I'm doing is I'm collecting, I made a bit of a mess of it, so I'm pulling it out to show you again. Start from the first corner and do your folds. When you get to that corner, you're going to turn, and that will be a pocket. And then we just keep doing the accordion folding again to the end here, and then we turn. We're turning direction, and there again I'm going to have to press that paper firmly so that it gives a good straight edge. I'll use the ruler for that. Another tool you can use if you do bookmaking is, it's called, oh gee, I can't remember what it's called, a boning scraper. So here I have the full set of pages now, and I've got two hidden pockets in there. But at least they're all folded in the right direction so that I can make a book. And it will be called an accordion book. An accordion book is wonderful to work on because you can have continuous flow of artwork. And it also means that you don't have to do any thread binding in the spine. Now we need to make some hard covers to protect this. And I've got a heavy book up there that I'm going to use soon. I'll use that just for a weight, so that when I do some gluing, I can press all the pages flat with that heavy book. So that's just on standby. So I'm showing you, now that it's all folded, I'm showing you how that plays out. In one direction, you've got the pocket sticking out, and I'm going to make the pocket openings sticking outward towards me. If I did the top or the bottom there, it would only be the top on one side and it would be the bottom on the other. So anything we might put in the pocket would fall out. So I am purposely going to do tape there and there, double-sided tape, and I'm going to tape those two corners, and then I'll end up with the pocket opening out towards the middle and not the top or bottom, or to the sides. Always use a really good quality double-sided tape here. If you use the kind in the dollar store or the bulk, or no, what am I calling it? Big store printing shops and paper shops, you're going to end up with a very thin double-sided tape, and it's not strong enough for this watercolor paper. So make sure you do a very good quality. Spend the money on a good quality one. I don't remember the name, but I got those on Amazon. I believe it was a set of 6, and they've lasted forever. So just make sure you get one that's very tacky and can support heavier paper. So I'm going to do both those sides that I showed you. I'm lining it up right to the edge of the paper, flush with the edge, and then press down. There's a layer of paper there to protect the sticky until you pull that off. So while the paper's still on there, give it a good press down, nice and firm, so that it sticks really well to this firm paper. And then pull the paper back. It's sometimes a little tricky. Sometimes it works easily, sometimes it takes forever, but you can find the edge of that paper and pull it off. And the other side. Now remember, these are very, very tacky, so make sure you line up very well before you press together, because once it's on, it's on. I've found it in place, and I'm just pressing firmly on those two edges where the tape was. And there you have it. We have those two pages stuck together, but there is an opening towards the edge. And again, I wanted that opening to be sticking outwards so that nothing can fall out. And that way, that's the best. And when we do further videos with this, I will make inserts that will go inside those pockets with tabs so you can easily pull things in and out. It'll be a lot of fun. Kind of like our own private custom journal with secret passages. So the same thing, I want it to open to the side there, so I'm going to tape along the top and the bottom edge. And I had trouble with that fold not being nice and flat, so I'm just lining it up again, make it nice and flat, so that once this book is done, all the pages are consistent. So again, I've set it all up so that I can find again which side. I always like check twice, measure twice, tape once, so that because it's permanent. So I've just made sure that I've done due diligence in how I want it all fold together and then where that tape goes. And again, staying right flush with the edge. Sorry about my head. Once I get all this part done, you shouldn't see so much of the top of my head. I don't usually do that, but because it was a great big piece of paper, I had no choice but to have the camera up higher to catch all of the page. And therefore my head got stuck in the way when I'm trying to look closely at things. So I'll give it a good press, cut the excess, and press again. Because once you pull that paper off, you want it firmly in place. So I'll pull off each strip. It requires patience sometimes. And again, now I just want to line things up nice and even and give it a good press again with all the layers there. And because I sprayed Fixative on those pages, I won't have any smudging. So there we have it, the full pull-out, long page with two pockets, which exit out to the sides. And you can see there's two directions then. But this is how it would look if you open it up as a real book. And then you have the magic of two pockets. And I think that's a lot of fun. I also think it's fun that we've got pre-printed, pre-marked pages. So I did this months ago. It was in my stash. I loved using my jelly plate, and I did this on copy paper, and I will do a video after this series is over. After we finish this book, I will do a video on doing multicolored prints on copy paper like this, because even though it's just the size of copy paper, I use these to gift wrap small gifts, and it's a lot of fun. Even my granddaughters noticed that, wow, Grandma Joni she made the wrapping paper as well. Like, they're quite impressed. So I'll show you that another time. Because it's a rectangular copy paper, 8.5 by 11, you've got to make it a square. Now, I either could have just measured to 8.5, or you just fold the edge down, and you can find the excess. You probably recall in grade school doing this often to make different folded paper projects. So it's a really good way of squaring off a regular piece of copy paper. And I tried to, usually if you press twice and fold it, it can tear apart, but because I've put several layers of paint over this from the gel paint, it's kind of made it a denser paper, so it was best just to cut that away instead of trying to tear. Again, line up the corner and the edge, and you'll find where you need to fold back that excess. Fold it back, press hard, and you've got a line for you to cut along. I like saving those scraps too, because they make good, really good bookmarks. So never throw those out. Give them to friends. Everybody needs a bookmarker. So now we have square cover pages that are larger than the cover that we're going to put them on. So I'm going to set aside those, and I'm going to set aside our pages, because now we need to make a hard cover front and back. And this happens to be the cover from the watercolor book. And I like it versus corrugated cardboard because it doesn't bend as easily and it's very dense and durable and stiff. So I do like using it. So what I'm doing is those pages that we have in the sketchbook were a perfect 6 by 6 inch square, but I want to have the cover to be a 6 1/8 by a 6 1/8. So what it is this cover is a 1/16 of an inch all the way around, slightly larger than the original pages. And once we glue on those printed papers over top these covers, that thickness will probably add another 1/16 of an inch. So it'll end up being, that whole cover might be more like a 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 when everything is done, just from the bulk of these pages folding back. So again, I marked it with pencil an X, which would be the rough side of these pages. And that was just so that I don't have to second guess and put the wrong side down. What I'm going to do is miter each corner. And I'm not gluing it down yet, I'm just mitering the corners, which means you fold it perpendicular each side so you get a good corner. What the purpose of this is so that when we get to the overlap, when we fold this all the way around, you get a nice clean pointed corner instead of rough bits of paper. We don't want to have to cut any away. We want to just be able to have the thickness of the corner to make it strong, but mitered. And what I've done is I've sped this up. I've got my printmaking glue, which is wonderful, and I've spread it everywhere with my finger, and making sure I cover all of the area there so that the paper that we've printed will stick evenly all over that cardboard. I don't want any bubbles later on. So those mitered corners were just an indication of where you could place that down. I didn't measure it to make it perfect because once we add the pages over top, most of these folded areas are going to be covered anyway, but I'm just eyeballing it. This is the second sheet, eyeballing where the mitered corners, where the placement would be. Again, it's not the end of the world if it's not measured perfectly. But as you can see, once we fold and we fold again from the other direction, we're going to have nice, thick, pointed corners in each corner of our page. So again, put lots of printmaker glue down and spread it around with my finger. Again, this was sped up. And I want to make sure there's no gaps in the middle. I want this page to stick there, everywhere along the middle. And to be sure that it sticks everywhere, I turn this over and I rub it down with my hands from the opposite side to make sure that it's really good and glued. And then back the other way. And to hold those points in place, I'm going to take a dab of glue in each corner just to hold them down temporarily. Instead of, I've only got 2 hands, so this helps. There's a little excess there, but that's okay. It'll get covered when we add the glue. So I'm going to do top and bottom first. I'm going to get all that exposed area there, really good coating, and I'm pulling. You don't want to pull so hard you tear the paper, but you want to pull hard enough that you fold all of it over. Nice and flat. Give it a good press. Do each side, and then we're going to turn and we're going to do the other 2 ends. I really, 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 really love making my own books. They're just so much fun. Sometimes I don't even add art in them, I just add quotes. And again, this one, I fully intend on doing subsequent videos with how we can embellish all these pages, but even if all I was to do was leave the mark making the way it is and put splashes of color, let that dry and then add quotes on each page, this would be a wonderful, fabulous quote book. So it really depends on what your end use is. You might do a bunch of books like this and decide someday down the road what you're going to do with them. I actually like to make them and give them as gifts as well, because I can't help myself. I like to make these things all the time, and if I'm not working on a big art project, then I like to still do something in my art room almost every day, except right now, the summer. The summer's been busy. That's why I haven't been posting every Friday night like usual, because I've had an injury and I've been in a lot of pain, so I've slowed down a little bit, but also it's been hot. People are busy doing things. I know it'll pick up again in the fall, but I do like to do art every day. I just haven't been doing a lot of videos. But I'm back at it. Hopefully this fall will be much more regular, and hopefully my injury will be sorted out and I'll get my life back again. But as I've said, the whole purpose of doing soul painting is that it helps me get lost in the moment, and I don't think about my pain. I just think about what I'm doing, and I get lost in my zone. I have a lot of fun. I feel like I'm a child again. I have no worries. It just gives me a lot of joy. So now we've got our covers done. They're dry. I want to show you that there's even bigger gap now because of that paper being folded over all the edges. So what I want to do is use this double-sided tape on all 4 sides of each end of this book. All 4 sides, because we're going to glue this down fully to the cover. And I'm not going to just use the tape here, because I don't want that. I want it to be covered really well through the middle as well. So what I'm doing is using the double-sided tape along each of the 4 edges, because it's really, really sticky, number one, and it also will enclose the glue. When I add the glue and smear it all around the page, it will stay within these confines of the framework here while I press it down. I love this tape. I highly encourage you to go on Amazon and buy a 6-pack, because you'll use it. You'll use it for sure on lots of projects. It's the best double-sided tape I've ever used. I just can't tell you what the name is because it's not clear. I don't have the packaging anymore, but you'll recognize it when you see it on YouTube. I mean on Amazon. So I've got all 4 on both sides taped. Now I'm not going to stick it on that covered cardboard yet. All I'm doing is pulling on the one end. I'm pulling off all the 4 papers of the tape, and then we'll add glue in the middle, and then we'll press it down onto that cover, and then we'll do the back side. So again, I know I confidently have good tape on all the edges. I'm just securing it with extra glue in the middle. And then make sure you line it up the way you want. And I'm eyeballing this, but try to get it fairly well before you stick it right down, because that double-sided tape is unforgiving. Once it's down, it's down. I've got a border on the top, right, and bottom, and it's more flush with the left edge. That's because if there was a spine, that would be the spine of the book. And now I will do the same thing, so it's a little more flush there, but even if you don't get it just perfectly, that's okay. This is just an accordion book. And guess what? If it didn't work out, you make another one. It's just paper. It was inexpensive. I don't know what it would cost to buy something like this, but I could proudly say I made it myself, and I like it better than anything that I see out there that you can buy. So same procedure, tape all 4 edges, and then add my lovely glue in the middle. And I'm not going to smear it with my fingers this time, but I'm going to get it all over. And in the process of pressing this down to the cover, it's going to spread out anyway. So just make sure you find whichever was your inside spine location of the cover, and then do the reverse. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and hit the like button and share it with people, because the more you share and the more popular I get on here, the more the more YouTube promotes me, and I get better coverage, and it gives me encouragement to do more for you. Plus, if you subscribe, you're the first to get all the new ones. It shows up on your feed. So I appreciate the support. I'm doing this for you people. I'm doing it for me because I love it so much, but I'm doing it because I truly enjoy paying it forward and showing you what I've learned in life. And I have so much fun with this. It gives me so much therapeutic joy. and fun that I like to encourage you to do the same. So look at this phenomenal book we've made. Look at how fun, and it's already got starter marks on it. Again, you could paint those and just use it as is, or you could embellish further. But I fully intend on doing my typical, like the other books, doing printed patterns in there, painting, marks. We're going to have fun. So because that paper I glued down was not a thick paper and it's not protected, I want to do, it's as if you did a plastic coating over the cardboard. So I'm just doing a very light, soft touch with the brush, but a very thick coat of matte medium so that it gives a clear covering, protection of the cover. And then once that's dry, you do the other side, and here we have our amazing, amazing book. And this is just stage one, people. We're going to have so much fun embellishing this book. I like the marks. Imagine that if you just did soft colors, you could just do it with quotes. But we are going to continue. We're going to paint. We're going to add embellishment and prints. We're going to play. We're going to explore. We're going to add inserts into those pockets. There'll be several videos coming up. See you then.